She manipulated a man into eating his own daughter before ending his life as revenge for what he had done to her son. Welcome back to Chaos and Crime with Tiff, and today's episode is about the case of Martha Perez Leon. 32-year-old Martha was a single mother to a 3-year-old son, and tragically, her son's life was ended after he was hit by a drunk driver and did not survive. The man responsible for the incident was arrested, but he was eventually released due to lack of evidence. According to the authorities, they did not have enough evidence to convict him of reckless homicide. After Martha learned of this, she was completely enraged and decided that it was just time for her to take matters into her own hands. She began following this guy around everywhere that he would go until one day she seen him leaving a bar, severely intoxicated, and decided that she was going to approach him. She began chatting it up with him, being extremely flirty, even convincing him to go back to her place. And once he got there, she also convinced him to allow her to tie him up before getting intimate. But the guy had no idea that Martha had already kidnapped his little daughter, ended her life, and chopped her into tiny pieces. Now, I just want to say that this little girl was not to blame for the actions of her father. It was not her fault what had happened to Martha's son. And I understand that Martha was an angry, grieving mother who wanted to seek revenge, but this is all still really, really fucked up. And even though this poor little girl was not at fault by any means for the tragic passing of Martha's son, Martha felt as if this was the only way that she could settle the score and get her revenge against the man. During the time that Martha had the guy tied up, she began feeding him tiny bits of his daughter, and he had no idea. Then, about 12 days later, Martha would confess to the guy where the meat had come from, and he would begin to panic and vomit, and he was begging her to just go ahead and end his life. A few days later, Martha would do just that. She ended his life and then went on over to the police department to confess. Authorities would then go to Martha's house and begin their investigation, and they were shocked and appalled by what they found. The deceased man was tied up and lying face down in the floor, and just in the other room was the remains of his young daughter. Martha was arrested and will serve out a life sentence in prison, but to her it was all worth it because she was finally able to get her revenge against the man who had took her son's life.